So I was wondering, like, does the sleep last, is that more exhausting to you than the last third? Or what is more exhausting to you? Which animal?
Definitely sleep is more exhausting because it's more emotional for me, FISI. However, I homeschool, and so the TESI is happening a lot of the day, several hours a day. And so that's pretty exhausting too, but I can do it. And then the hard part about blasting for me though has been building, because I'm an EP. So like I can do like the right now work, the, step 1, step 2, like the expedient TE stuff, like getting the chores done, getting the, kids' homework all done. It is the building though, that's hard in the blasting category. But sleep, oh my gosh, sleep is rough, because once I get into it too, it feels so foreign because I'm not used to feeling that like depth of emotion. Like FI is like, I mean, if TI is really, really deep and you're going in, I don't know how that would exactly calculate or be the same, but like the FI is like the depth of emotion, and it just, it's hard to get out of when
And
you're
it's
not.
feminine, so you're moved by it, and then where do you go? Does it feel like holding on to nothing, almost like you can't, there's nothing to hold on to? Or like that's
It's
how I conceptualize it. So I could be totally off or like.
right. Well, no, I mean, I think because, so I was thinking a little bit about it because it's second. Feminine FI, I don't think feminine FI doesn't know what it wants necessarily. It's interesting because I've heard Kendrick talk about how movable it is, as far as like, it's just willing to sacrifice itself. That's really, I think that's all it is. I think feminine FI is willing to sacrifice itself for someone within their FI or something, but that benefits the other as savior DE. Like if it benefits the tribe in some way, FI is willing to sacrifice what it wants. And I think that's what it is. So then if you've done that too much in your feminine FI, and then you go into it, then it just feels more like just processing that you haven't done it. Like it feels more like licking your wounds. There's some analogy for you where you're just kind of like, yeah, where you go, well, I know why I did this, right? Because it's the TE, like I know why, and it makes sense, but it's just painful. It can be, I suppose, if it's a positive emotion, like if I think about like the day my kids were born or having my kids, and if I go into that, like that's more of a depth of emotion that's really grounding. So it just depends on what it is. That's not floating. I don't think anything is floating. I think it's just, for me, it's just that, have I laid my FI out on the altar? And if I have, then it's hard to go there, because I think your identity function is such a huge part of who you are, no matter where it is in your stack.
Cool. And then I was wondering about the relationship. So between your last two animals, you said the blast is exhausting, but if the blast is exhausting, that would mean you have to go to sleep after, which is even more exhausting. How does that work?
I just don't think, or feel.
So you blast and are exhausted and then go back to the play.
Yeah, or I will physically sleep, right? Like I'll physically sleep, or like if I want to watch a movie, like I actually got this, I think I got it from Personality Hacker. I think Antonia said, hey, if you need to get into your SI, I think she was just talking about my last animal or last function, excuse me. She was like, watch an old movie that you really like, something like that. Like that will help me to do, not necessarily process. That's the problem. That doesn't help me process or like really go through what were those emotions and kind of that road through grief and then to acceptance. It doesn't do that, but it does like soothe. So that helps. A book I read a lot will help do that, or a movie. So I do that a lot now that you ask me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's active processing and passive processing. Like
Yes.
I feel like with music, I'm just a vegetable often. I'm just lying there. And it's not even like I'm not taking anything in consciously, but I just love it for it's, and the processing happens non-verbally. Like, I don't know, like it's just me and it feels good. But that's just maybe because I'm saving sleep. Well, it probably does it feel good to you when yeah, it's yeah, if it's an old movie you love, it's if it's in your FI.
The funny thing is like, yeah, you're right. It's more passive, but I generally won't go too deep with it. But music will do that to me though. Music will make me go deep. Music will make me do the SIFI. It's really strange. So that's interesting, that contrast, how you're like music for you is more passive. Like a movie would be more passive for me. Depending on the movie, I guess if it has lots of music, that'll do it. But yeah, no, I don't find that to be too passive. Well, then what is music? Is music activating your sleep then? What is that doing for you when you're yeah, listening?
Yeah, it's processing on in another world. It sounds I'm aware this sounds very NF, but I don't feel fully there, but then I'm also very there. What? I'm realizing this makes no sense, but that's fine sometimes. Not everything has to ST make sense. It's like, and I'm getting into like, yeah, I think I'm letting my emotions be moved. And
Mm.
that, yes, like I sometimes say, I don't, and I'm exaggerating, but I feel like in a random moment during the day, I don't have any emotion. Like if you walk up to me during the day and ask me how do I feel, and I've actually yeah, I'm doing this meditation with people thing called circling, and there we would often it would go towards a more emotional conversation, and most of like 98% of the time the only answer I have is calm. I feel calm or calm. I don't know how you say. Some people say more calm in the US. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I just feel peaceful most of the time, I think. And maybe that's just because of the absence of any emotions, or maybe, yeah, well, I'm trying to TI my emotions. Like, yeah,
Well,
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's just like what like the TI user is not specifically looking to have an emotional experience through like, do you know what I mean? Like I just feel like if you're built to observe and then think about it more in a, I don't know, how what is the word? You're built to observe and you're not trying to create an emotional experience. You're trying to make sense of what you're observing. You're not trying to examine how you feel about it. Like that's how your brain works.
Yeah, and it's not tied to my identity. Like, I feel like I'm listening to songs, a lot of sad songs, and I'm not particularly feeling sad. And then often the songs I like most, I don't really relate to them I mean, I relate to them in the moment on an emotional level, but the context of the lyrics often, well, also resonates, but I can't explain why I'm drawn to the songs. And it's like this big range of emotions from sadness to anger to like, like it's, yeah, I think it's just to get myself moved. And yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you can do that. Like you can probably move more easily, maybe. I mean, I know FE's at the bottom, but I'm just trying to think of it from like a spectrum standpoint. Like if it's just a little more broad, kind of how NE can like move so quickly,
I
through the
can't, I can't move them, but I can let them be moved. That's, I
okay.
guess, feminine FE. Like I can let my emotions be moved when I'm in control. When someone does it in the moment to me and I'm not in control, that's more difficult because then it's still a baby function, really, the FE. But when I'm in control and I can click, okay, let's listen to this playlist or this song, then I really like it. But when it's in the moment and it's a crawl, then it's more difficult to.
Mm.
Yeah, but I still like it
Yeah.
afterwards. Like a little bit of drama is also nice, but in
Yeah.
doses.
Being the, thinking savior. It does feel really difficult to explain the emotions. I don't know. can do it, but it feels difficult or weird, maybe is the word.
Yeah, when you say that, I notice like I'm also like I feel weird talking about it. It's like I'm talking about emotions. Oh my God, let's move on to Jordan Peterson soon.